Oh man, get ready because today we're taking an absolute golden journey straight back to a 90s village childhood. If you've ever felt completely exhausted by the constant pinging of notifications and glowing screens, well, you're going to absolutely love the world we're unpacking in this explainer. We're diving deep into the games, the daily routines, and just the sheer, unfiltered joy of a much simpler time, all based on some really wonderful stories from our source material. Seriously, buckle up because this is going to be incredibly nostalgic.
No mobile, no tension, only games and peace. Wow, it honestly sounds like pure fantasy today, doesn't it? But this quote perfectly captures the heart of what we're looking at. We're contrasting that completely unplugged, peaceful simplicity of the past with the hyper-connected childhoods kids have today. Back then, entertainment wasn't something you downloaded. Nope, it was invented right there on the dusty streets with your bare hands, your friends, and a whole lot of imagination.
Section 1, Childhood of the 90s. So, to really understand this era, let's break down how a typical 90s Sunday actually unfolded. And spoiler alert, it was definitely not about sleeping in and binge watching shows. A Sunday back then was a 100% outdoor, community-driven experience from dawn till dusk. Looking at the schedule, the day built up chronologically through these distinct cultural rituals. You kick things off bright and early at 7 a.m. with waking up and the classic neem tune. By 12 p.m., you're peaking with endless street games. Come 6 p.m., it's the forced return home for study and dinner. And finally, at 9 p.m., you drift off to grandma's stories. Let's walk through each of these fascinating phases, shall we?
Section 2, the morning start. And let me tell you, Sundays were absolutely not for resting. Mothers would wake everyone up super early, usually declaring the sun was already way high in the sky. Why? Because Sunday was the day to hit the market, fix up that creaky old bicycle, and power through household chores before anyone could even think about playing. And before breakfast, a strictly enforced morning ritual, the bitter neem twig. Do any of you remember that intense, incredibly bitter sting? Kids would chew on a datun, a literal twig from a neem tree, to brush their teeth. Like the mom in our story wisely says, if it's not bitter, how will it clean your teeth? It was a harsh, completely natural jolt to the system that woke you right up before you bolted out the door on an empty stomach, promising to eat later just so you wouldn't miss a single second of playtime.
Section 3, Local Street Games. All right, let's shift the energy up because now we are diving into the absolute core of the day, those endless, high-octane local street games with the neighborhood crew. This is exactly where the magic happened. The streets and those giant banyan trees became the ultimate playground. Check out this Desi Games roster. What's truly amazing here is the sheer variety of ways kids kept themselves occupied all afternoon without a single screen in sight. We're talking high-speed tire races, kanchay, or marbles, where kids would totally brag about their prized blue lion marbles. Then you had team strategy with pitthu or seven stones, the classic toli for hide and seek, bani, statues, and even jot, a simple odds or evens guessing game. I mean, it was a full-blown physical and mental workout.
Let's zoom in on the tire race for a second. The rules were incredibly strict, but honestly so hilarious. The golden rule: whoever touches the tire with hands is out. You had to propel this thing entirely with the stick while sprinting at top speed toward the great banyan tree. And the stakes? High. The loser's penalty was gathering sour tamarind, or imli, and feeding it to everyone else. In our story, the race actually gets completely derailed midway because the kids spot some ripe tamarinds up in a tree and just abandon the race entirely to climb up and feast on them. Classic.
Then, when everyone finally needed to catch their breath, they'd pivot to games of pure psychological tension, like Raja Mantri Chor Sipahi, basically king, minister, thief, soldier. This was a classic paper roleplay game where if you were the mantri, the minister, you had to deduce exactly who the chor, the thief, was among your friends. But how? Purely by reading their facial expressions and eye contact. In our source story, the minister nails the thief just by spotting this tiny, guilty, knowing smile in his friend's eyes. It's actually a brilliant exercise in reading human behavior, right? Moving on to Section 4, the thrill of kite flying. So, as those afternoon winds started picking up, all attention turned to the skies. This was not just some casual pastime, okay? This was a high-stakes neighborhood clash of skill, gear, and sheer willpower. A kite fight, or pech ladana, was an intense four-step buildup. Step 1, you feel the tension of prepping your sharp, glass-coated thread, the manja. Step 2, you patiently wait to catch the perfect wind to send your kite soaring high enough to challenge a rival. Step 3 is the climax, strategically cutting the rival's black or blue kite. And then Step 4,
pure chaos, running wildly through the streets to catch that falling kite before anybody else could snatch it. Talk about an adrenaline rush.
Section 5. Returning home in evening.
But all good things gotta come to an end. As dusk falls, playtime comes to a very abrupt halt. Mothers start calling out from the doorways, mandating an immediate return to base. And man, the sheer exhaustion of running, hiding, and yelling all day finally hits you like a ton of bricks. The source material adds a really fantastic touch of humor here about the classic maternal scoldings kids got. You didn't just walk inside, you stumbled in covered in dust, sweat, and scraped knees. The mom's instant reaction? Look at your condition. It looks like you've been plowing fields all day. It just so perfectly captures the glorious, messy, absolutely filthy reality of an unplugged childhood. Once everyone was finally scrubbed down, the evening routine was swift and highly structured. First up on the agenda, study time. The absolute struggle of sitting still to recite math tables, chanting 2 times 2 is 4. But honestly, even during homework, the hype of the day couldn't be contained. Kids would be actively bragging, enthusiastically recounting their epic kite victories to their dad. Finally, the day wrapped up with a warm, grounding dinner of sog and roti, replenishing all that massive energy spent out on the streets.
Section 6. Grandma's Stories.
Which brings us to such a crucial, heartwarming part of the day, the transition to bedtime. There were no iPads, no doom scrolling in bed. Instead, the day gently wound down with Grandma's stories. This was the original, fully immersive evening entertainment. While usual fairy tales were definitely on the menu, the kids in this narrative specifically asked for something else. They wanted tales of Burbl's legendary cleverness mixed with stories of magical flying horses. These weren't just bedtime stories. They were literal fuel for late-night imagination, totally replacing the physical adrenaline of the day with a deep sense of mental wonder. I absolutely love this next detail. Right as they are drifting off to sleep, the child asks this incredibly innocent question. Grandma, does that magical horse really run faster than my tire? I mean, how sweet is that? It just shows exactly how the day's physical, grounded games blended so seamlessly into nighttime wonder. In that child's mind, the absolute peak of speed was their old bicycle tire from the afternoon race, and they were literally trying to measure magic against their own reality. Just brilliant. So, looking back at the sheer joy and absolute simplicity of those days, it really makes you wonder, what was your favorite childhood game? Were you the undisputed champion of the tire race, a master of hide and seek, or did you rule the neighborhood skies with your kites? Take a second to think about those golden days and how they shaped the way we interact with the world today. It's a pretty wild contrast, right? Anyway, keep exploring these awesome memories and I will catch you on the next explainer.